Okay, I will share the introductory prayers that we say, and we can all recite them together. Om Jnanam Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam. One second. Sadvaitam Savadhutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauru Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so here's chapter 7. Of the Bhagavad Gita. And you'll notice these slides are very nice. These slides are made by Mother Urmila and her team of devotees. They made this. She also teaches Bhakti Shastri, and she was very kind to share these slides with me. So I will cover chapter 7 today as far as possible. I think we'll get through it, most of it. And in between, we will refer to some of the verses of chapter 10, of chapter 7. So last time we did chapter 6, which talked about Dhyana Yoga. And now this chapter is entitled what? Who knows? What is the title of this chapter? What is the title?
Knowledge of the absolute.
Knowledge of the absolute truth. Very nice. So this is chapter 6 is about Dhyana Yoga. This is about knowledge of the absolute truth. So this chapter deals with topic 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Ishvara or God. But it also tells us quite a bit about topic 2, the material world, because it tells us how Krishna is present in this material world, how he is present in this world. So the first thing that we learn in this chapter, or one of the themes of this chapter, is that Krishna is everything. And you'll find these lists in a few places in the Gita, chapter 7, chapter 10, where Krishna tells us how he is present in every aspect of the material world, how we can meditate upon him, how he is present in this material world. So this chapter has three parts: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So the Sambandha, which is knowledge about our relationship with Krishna, is that Krishna is a supreme origin and essence of everything. This is the knowledge that we need to have in order to serve Krishna, that Krishna is a supreme origin and essence of everything. Abhideya, the practical application: be a pious soul who accepts and surrenders to his supremacy. And Prayojana, understand and know Krishna even at the time of death. Understand and know Krishna even at the time of death. So we have this knowledge because we want to know Krishna. We want to understand Krishna at the time of death. A surrender is a big theme in this chapter, which is Abhideya, how to surrender to Krishna. In chapter 6, Krishna ends with the best yogi, with the verse Yogi Namapi Sarvesham, that the best yogi is one who is devoted to him. Here he reveals more about himself. So chapter 6 said, well, the best yogi is the bhakti yogi, the yogi whose mind is fixed on Krishna. And now in this chapter, he reveals more about himself, about his own nature. So these are the different parts of this chapter. The first part is text 1 to 3, in which Krishna glorifies hearing and encourages Arjuna that you must hear. All spiritual knowledge begins with hearing. Then the second section is that Krishna is everywhere, which is text 4 to 12. This famous verse is there, that as pearls are strung on a thread, everything depends upon Krishna. Then section 13 to 19 describes the 4 types of pious people who reject Krishna and 4 types of pious people who accept him. So the impious and the pious are described. And in the last section, which is very interesting, Krishna speaks about demigod worship and establishes how demigod worship is actually worshiping him only, but in a wrong way, and how worshiping him is the highest form of worship. So there's so much demigod worship in this world, but Krishna here very clearly tells us who he wants us to worship and how he wants us to worship him. So these are the 4 main sections of this chapter. First one describes hearing. The second section describes Krishna's presence in the material world. And then the third section, the different types of people who accept or reject Krishna. And finally, the worship of the demigods in relation to Krishna. The summary of this chapter is that Lord Krishna is the supreme truth, the supreme cause, and sustaining force of everything, both material and spiritual. Advanced souls surrender unto him in devotion, whereas impious souls divert their minds to other objects of worship. The text 1 to 3. Always think of Krishna in devotion. One must hear about Krishna and his supreme position. In this chapter, Krishna will fully reveal himself as the supreme personality of Godhead, the source of both spiritual and material existence. This knowledge is very rarely achieved. So text 1 has these words, tat shunu, that shunu, try to hear. Just try to hear this science about Krishna. Prabhupada in the purport writes, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee is Krishna consciousness, in Krishna consciousness, can one understand the science of Krishna. So here Krishna himself is saying this in the first verse, that we must hear when the Lord reveals himself, and which he's doing in this chapter. We must hear about his supreme position. One must hear how he is the source of the spiritual and material existence. And one must hear this very confidential knowledge, which is very rarely achieved. Prabhupada explains that the entire process of bhakti begins with hearing. All the way from Shraddha to Prema, all of these stages are nourished by the process of hearing, and the Bhakti Lata Bij begins by hearing. And only by hearing can we attain Krishna. So when we hear about Krishna, then gradually we become more and more attached to him. And our faith and our devotion grows all the way up to pure love of Krishna. Prabhupada writes, to hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies a devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. So there's a very beautiful verse in the Bhagavatam, Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridantasya Yavadrani Vidunoti Suhritasam Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by serving the devotee with great devotion, Krishna, who is the best wishing friend, purifies the heart of that devotee. And the verse says, almost completely purifies that devotee. And why almost completely? Because ultimately the devotee's heart is purified by the mercy of Krishna. No one can force that to happen. Only Krishna's grace, his mercy, which is completely causeless and independent, purifies the devotee. But the important point here is that final step happens because Krishna becomes so pleased when the devotee hears about him. So we should always try to hear. We should not waste any moment. When we're driving, we can put a tape on. When we're in the bathroom, brushing our teeth, showering, all these things, we can put a tape on, we can listen. So the more we hear, the more our heart and mind becomes purified, and the closer we can come to Krishna. And devotees who are very spiritually strong, you'll see they're always hearing. They're reading something, they're listening to some tape, they're listening to some kirtan. In this way, they purify their heart and mind and senses. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Asangshayam samagram, understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead. So through hearing, we get devotional service, and through devotional service, the hard knot of material affection becomes severed. And by that, then one can understand the supreme personality of Godhead. So why is Krishna talking about hearing in this first verse? Because it is from hearing that one comes to the point of gradually becoming free of material desires, material affection, and then coming to the point of understanding Krishna, understanding the supreme absolute personality of Godhead. The other important terms are Shri Bhagavan Vacha. In this verse, it is a personality of God in Bhagavan who has spoken this. Maya Sakta Mana, having one's mind attached to Krishna. We have to attach our mind to Krishna in love, not just doing the physical activities, but loving Krishna with our heart and our mind. Mat Ashraya, to be under the shelter of Krishna, or Krishna's representative. Asangshayam, one will know Krishna without any doubt. So I'll just share this verse, this text, first verse of chapter 7, so we can read it and see context here. So this is the verse here. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asangshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasyasi Tachranu. The Supreme Personality of God had said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So, Maya Sakta Manapartha, Yogam Yunjan Madashraya, Asangshayam Samagramam, Yatha Gyasasi Tachranu. Tachranu means just hear. Then you can know me without a doubt. You can surrender to me, and your heart and mind will be attached to me. So as a result of hearing, we get to know Krishna. We will know Krishna without any doubt, perfectly. We will surrender to Krishna. We will take his ashraya. We will become connected with him, yogam yunjan. And maya sakta mana, and our mind and heart will become very attached to him. All of these things will happen by hearing about Krishna and then gradually increasing our devotion in these ways. Jnanam means phenomenal knowledge. Vijnanam means numinous knowledge. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. So in this verse, we had next verse, text 2. Krishna says, here, I'll share this. Krishna says, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vaksham asheshata yad gyatva neha bhuyo nyaj gyatavyam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous, thus being known, Nothing further shall remain for you to know. So, jnanam vijnanam. By this hearing, we get both jnana and vijnana. And Prabhupada in the purport explains that this jnana and vijnana refers to two types of knowledge. Here he's speaking of it more in terms of material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Jnanam and vijnanam can also refer to intellectual, conceptual knowledge, and vijnana means realized knowledge. But here in the purport, Prabhupada is saying complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. That is Ishvar, Atma, and Jagat. These are the three topics of the Upanishads, of all Vedanta. They speak about Atma, this individual selves, the Jagat, this world, and Ishvar, God. Because these are the three fundamental ontological categories of this world. Everything is either the soul, the material world, or God. Note, sometimes jnana means theoretical knowledge and vijnana means realized knowledge. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. For many are called, but few are chosen. So here now in text 3, Krishna is saying that this knowledge is so difficult. It is so rare, it is so confidential that among thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Once more, I'm going to share this. Very famous verse of the Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kashchid mam veti tatvata. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So if we look in this world, Prabhupada said very often, there's so many people interested in going to the bars, to the cinemas, any place of material enjoyment, it'll be packed full. But anywhere in the world, if you go to the temples, the mosques, the churches, there you'll see maybe on certain days they're full, on Sundays, but otherwise they stay empty. So why is that the case? Why aren't there more people coming to the temples? And this is because Prabhupada says, among thousands of people, here Krishna is saying, only one endeavors for perfection. Only one thinks, let me go to the temple. So therefore, the devotee is not surprised if less people are coming. In fact, he's surprised if more people are coming, because this is here clearly enunciated by Krishna, that in this material world, people are generally uninterested in spiritual in spiritual knowledge. So out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. And then among the thousands who come to the temple, only one person really knows Krishna, really knows him well, really knows who Krishna is. Okay, so these two verses were very important. These three verses were the first section. Now I'll go quicker. So now Krishna starts speaking about how he's present in the material world. And he describes, first of all, the nature, the parts of this material world. he says that this material world is consisted of 8 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Material energy consists of 8 elements. Superior to it is the conscious entity who can control matter. That's text 5. Superior to both matter and spirit, however, is Krishna, the origin of both. This is text 6. Krishna, however, has no origin. Nothing is superior to him. Everything depends on him, as the existence of a pearl necklace depends upon its thread. Sutre Manigana Eva. This text 7 is very, very special. In text 7, Krishna gives a very wonderful analogy that describes his relationship with the material world. And the metaphor that he uses is very apt in very specific ways. Why he uses this metaphor? He says, I am like a thread that keeps all the beads together, that ties all the beads together, right? It holds all the beads. And here, there's the important part in this analogy is that although the thread holds all the beads together, no one sees the thread, but still it is there. But still is the most important element of that necklace. In the same way, although Krishna keeps this entire material world together and working, those who don't want to see Krishna, they don't see Krishna. Krishna acts in such a way that he can remain hidden from those who don't want to see him, because they have chosen this form of life, this material world. They want to forget Krishna. So Krishna arranges the material world, yet he does not reveal himself to such people. So to know that thread, we must hear about it from an expert person who knows that behind these beads is a thread that is keeping all of its beads together. Just like many times if there's a construction project or something that is going on, then something needs to be fixed. Then many times it seems like it would be impossible to fix this. How could someone fix this? But there's a way. There's some sort of special tool, or there's a system to it, and that person can reach the problem area and fix it. Right? We may have experienced this when someone's maybe fixing an appliance or something like this. It looks like this is unfixable. No one could fix this. But no, there's a way to do it. Why? Because the person who's fixing it knows the secret. They've heard, they've gained that knowledge, and therefore they know, oh, this is how you fix it. In the same way, one who has knowledge, who's heard from the Vedic literatures, knows that behind everything is Krishna. And by Krishna's mercy and by Krishna's arrangement, everything is properly arranged. And any problem also can be fixed by his mercy. Then another point that Krishna makes in this verse is matta parataram nanyat, that he clearly points out, he establishes that there's nothing superior to him. So someone might say, well, no, one of the beads is superior than the thread. Or there's something else outside of the thread and necklace. But no, he clarifies, there's many things in this world, but there's nothing superior to Krishna. Krishna is all powerful. He's the cause of all causes. He's the source of everything. And this therefore defeats the Mayavadis, who say that Krishna's material form, Krishna's physical form is a material form, and therefore a lesser form than Brahman, pure spirit, the effulgence of Krishna. But this is a false statement, and on many occasions in the Gita, Krishna points out that, in fact, this is a false statement, and he says this here in this verse also, matta parataram nanyat, that there's nothing beyond me. No Brahman effulgence is beyond Krishna. Nothing is beyond him. He is the highest of all. And because he says that nothing is beyond him and Krishna is a person, therefore, this verse is establishing the personality of God as the highest ultimate truth, the personal nature of God as the ultimate truth. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person. He is a person. He's not just a thread. He's not an impersonal force behind this world. He is a person who's the cause of everything, who establishes everything, and who maintains everything. So now, in these following four texts, we see that how everything depends on Krishna. Krishna is the essence and cause of all things. Taste the essence of water, light of the sun and moon, Om of the Vedas, sound of ether. So now, whatever is best in this world, Krishna's everything. He's in every atom, right? Like Prahlad Maharaj, he saw Krishna in a pillar. So why doesn't Krishna mention the pillars here? No, he mentions that he's the essence of all things, and his being the essence means that he pervades all the essential items of this world. Krishna is the essence and cause of all things. Taste is the essence of water, light of the sun and moon, Om of the Vedas, sound of ether. Endeavor is the essence of being human. Fragrance is the essence of earth. Heat of fire, the life force, is the essence of all living beings. Penance is the essence of asceticism. The pradhana bijam is the cause and essence of all material entities. Intelligence is the essence of the intelligent. Power of the powerful. Strength is the essence of the strong. And regulated sex life is the essence of following religious principles. This is very powerful here. Krishna is giving many actually instructions through this description. He's describing how he's the cause and essence of all material entities. He's the intelligence and the intelligent. He's the power and the powerful. Thus, also reminding us to always be humble in our life, because whatever we have is only by the strength of Krishna and the arrangement of Krishna. Because he gives us the intelligence to get a good job and to possess all those material things. He gives us the power to lift things and do things or play sports. And therefore, Krishna is the power or the powerful, the intelligent of the intelligence of the intelligent, and therefore the devotee is never proud of his accomplishments with talents. Because these talents and accomplishments, they don't belong to him, they belong to Krishna. This toolbar is here again. Okay. I am the syllable Om. I am the sound in ether. I am the seed of all existence. I am sex life according to religious principles. So many nice points mentioned here. Krishna is a syllable Om. So many people say, should I chant Om or Hare Krishna? But here it's being described that Krishna is Om, and therefore there's no difference. Prabhupada said Om is just like the word Mr. or Mrs. that is used for mature beings. And so for Krishna, the generic way of referring to Krishna is as Om. Krishna is the sound in ether. So um, this is the sound of mantra, because modern science tells us that in a vacuum there's no sound. But here it's being said that Krishna is a sound in ether. So this is the true sound, the real sound. Just like we see cell phones, when we say, oh, this is fantasy, how can there be like this? But no, there's a cellular wave, and this wave is not a material, so to say. It is a material sound, but it's not a physical movement of the atoms. A wave is a wave, but the cell phone sends this wave, and thousands of miles away, someone else picks up his phone and is speaking to the other person. So even in a vacuum, even in ether, there's a sound that can be made through waves. And that sound is Krishna. I am the seed of all existence. So Krishna says, Aham bija pradapata. He is the seed of all living entities. And finally, I am sex life according to religious principles. When a person performs sex life that is illicit, that is very, very sinful. But when a person performs sex life only for the pleasure of Krishna, then to beget nice Krishna conscious children, then that sex life is not binding. Krishna says, I am that sex life. When a devotee produces Krishna conscious children, Krishna is so pleased. It's not just that he knows about it, but Krishna becomes, Krishna says, I am that union, that sex life, if that is done according to religious principles and to produce Krishna conscious children. It's described in the Bhagavatam. I was just reading how it was being said, how the Lord Kapila Dev appeared through the semen of Kardama Muni. And Srila Prabhupada writes that the devotee's love for Krishna is so great that Krishna can appear even through the semen of his devotee, Kardama Muni, because he was such a great devotee of the Lord, so exalted. Just like then one says, oh, but how is this possible? But just like Krishna appears through the nostril of Brahma when he comes as Varaha. The nostril is a very dirty place. It's very black like this. But at the same time, he does. Because why? Because the devotee's body is also spiritual. He is his devotee, and Krishna can therefore appear through the nostril of Brahma. Although I'm back from India, I'm still struggling a little bit with jet lag. So this is why I'm falling asleep a little bit. It's not because I'm wanting to, it's just because of jet lag. I am the life of all that lives. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. I am the prowess of all powerful men. So when a devotee takes credit for something that they do, or becomes proud of their accomplishments, starts thinking that I am a very great soul because I accomplished this and this and this, then that is very unpalatable to Krishna. Why is that? Because Krishna is the prowess of all powerful men. So what do we have to be proud of? We have nothing to be proud of. I am the light of the sun and the moon. I am the ability in man. I am the taste of water. So everything in this world gets its taste from water. If there's no water, then there's no taste in anything. So therefore, the original taste is the taste of water. And Krishna says, I am that taste of water. Why? Because he's the essence of everything. Similarly, Krishna is the ability in man. Again, all activities are up to Krishna, and all activities therefore should be offered to Krishna. And Krishna is the light of the sun and the moon. Because all light comes from sunlight and moonlight. Even electricity comes from the sun and moon, because because electricity is born of elements from the ground, and the ground is nourished by the sun and the moon. Without these two things, human society cannot live. So Krishna says, Rasoham apsukonteya. Any liquid thing, the taste which attracts you, that is I am. Even you are a drunkard, you are fond of tasting wine. I should recommend that you simply think that this taste of wine is Krishna. That will make a yogi of you. That will make you the greatest yogi. If you simply think this, that I am tasting a wine, oh, very nice taste. This taste is Krishna. Right? So all tastes are nothing else other than Krishna. Okay, it seems like I'm falling asleep. So I should stop here. So we'll do chapter 7 in 2 parts. Anyway, it's a very big chapter, very deep chapter, and we'll continue on next time. I apologize. I didn't realize my jet lag will still be so strong. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Are there any questions? I can answer questions because that'll keep me awake. If there are any, we didn't cover that much. Yes, Randy.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just want to say, I think it's nice that you persevered and tried anyways. You did a good job giving class.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being so generous.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how
Thank
good I did, but and you, yes, but you at least I
I
think.
followed along. I understood. So I just have a brief question. I've heard, it's my understanding that when we first say Krishna's name, even knowingly or unknowingly of what the effects will be, that our devotional life has then begun. That's my understanding. So is this similar in a way when people say Om or other names of Krishna, or is it not quite the same?
That's a very good question. It's not quite the same, because Om is not exactly a name of Krishna. Just like as I mentioned, I have some names that people call me by, but then if someone just says Mr., that's a title, that's not exactly a name. But still the effect of saying Om is there. It's still a transcendental vibration, but the potency in that name, or you could say in that vibration, is not as much as the potency of Krishna's name.
Okay, thank you.
There's one verse in the Vishnu Sahasranam, Rama Rama Rameti Namo Rama Namo Rame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanes. So it says that 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu is equal to 3 names of Lord Ram. And Prabhupada says 3 names of Lord Ram is equal to 1 name of Krishna. So there's also a hierarchy of names, so to say, in terms of potency. If someone says the name of Vishnu, they get less benefit than if they say the name of Krishna. Thank you. Nice question. Very nice question. Murli Govinda Prabhu, did you have a comment or question that you're making? Okay, no, doesn't seem that way. All right. Yeah, Rashi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome back. I hope
Thank you.
you'll be fine next weekend. Yeah.
So,
So I have a quick question. I won't take much of your time. I'll let you go. So my question is like here Krishna is talking about all like superlative comparison, like whatever the best is Krishna. Also in 10th chapter, he says the same thing, that out of all the planets, I am Brahaspati and all that. So what should we understand from that, Prabhu? Is it like the best is Krishna or everything is Krishna? He is just giving us a superlative comparison that you, whatever best you think of me.
he's telling us that the essence of everything is Krishna. And oftentimes it's also, he's saying the best of everything is Krishna. Like he says, among mountains, I'm Mount Meru because it's the best mountain, the biggest mountain. Or among animals, I'm the lion. So he's also speaking in terms of the best. But the key thing is that the essence of everything is Krishna. So this allows us to remember Krishna whenever we see something. So if we see a very strong person, then we say, oh, the strength in this person is Krishna. The strength of the strong is Krishna. If we meet Einstein, then we say, oh, his intelligence is Krishna. So the intelligence in the intelligent is Krishna. So by telling us the essence of things and that Krishna is the essence of all these things, one can remember Krishna wherever he looks. And that's the point of this verse. Because by seeing Krishna everywhere, we're able to remember him always and see his presence everywhere.
So if everything is Krishna, then if somebody has a bad quality or something, so I mean, what should we think in that case? That I mean, everything comes from Krishna in that case, right? So what should be our take on those things? Because anyway, everything comes from Krishna, then whoever is acting bad or doing something bad, that is also from Krishna then.
Right. And yes, that's true. It is coming from Krishna. It's the material energy. But the Prabhupada explains even the prison house comes from the government. But that doesn't mean that the prison house is the government or is preferred by the government. So everything is coming from Krishna, but Krishna is still independent. Krishna is giving us a choice that we can be godly or we can be sinful. But in either case, the choice is ours, but Krishna is the one who's given us the two options. Just like in the chat, I think Brandy has asked, does envy come from Krishna? Well, Krishna has created all the qualities of this material world, lust, anger, greed, envy. But when we choose envy, then that is our free will. And our free will is truly ours. There's a big discussion on this in the Vedanta Sutra, that how we are beginningless like Krishna. So Krishna is eternal, we are also eternal. So Krishna is maintaining us in that way. He is our source and our creator. He is always maintaining us. But from beginningless time, we have had our free will. So our free will is truly ours. That choice is truly ours because Vedanta Sutra says that there is no beginning. Our choices are always our choices. So at a certain point, we have free will. We made a choice to choose this material world, to choose to become envious of Krishna. Therefore, we fall into this material world. We choose to be envious of Krishna. But the choice is ours. So yes, envy and this material world is provided as an option by Krishna, just like the prison house is provided, or even you could say the bars are provided by the government. But whether or not we enter into those bars, that is our choice. And why does Krishna give us this choice? Because he wants us to approach him out of our own free will. He wants us to approach him out of love. And love means choice. If there's only one path to take, then how can we love him, right? So it's not our destiny, it's our choice. Destiny, it can be based upon our choice, So if we choose the wrong things, then we may be destined to suffer the result of those activities. In our next life, we may be, suffering the results of our past activities, and therefore we call it destiny because we cannot change it. It's due to our past choices. But even that we can change, right? Krishna tells us in the Gita that if we surrender to Krishna, then we can change it.
So, Prabhu, since you brought up about surrender, so I mean, willingness is there. We definitely want to surrender, but I mean, what exactly surrender means? Just doing a devotional service and thinking that Krishna is the supreme maintainer and that's about it? Or is there any process or any, like, are there any stages of surrender? I mean, Krishna is asking in Gita multiple, I mean, many places, right? You just surrender onto me and everything will be done. But just in a layman's term, what does surrender mean?
Yes, actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given us the characteristics of surrender. I'll read this for you. What it means to surrender to Krishna. Yes, here. The 6 items of surrender. I'll read this for you. Okay. So this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya, chapter 22, text 100. 1 second. Yes, here we go. Very famous verse. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayatita vishvaso goptitve varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagati. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service. So if we're truly surrendered to Krishna, we will accept things that are favorable for our devotional service. If we're truly surrendered, we will walk the talk, right? Everyone says, I'm surrendered to whatever God wants, that's what I'll do. But if we truly want to do what God wants, then we'll accept the things that are favorable for devotional service. The second is the rejection of unfavorable things. One has to reject the unfavorable things. The third is the conviction that Krishna will give protection. The fourth is the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master. The fifth is full self-surrender. And the sixth is humility. Right? So the 6 divisions of surrender are these. One has to be confident. One has to accept the things that are good for devotional service, reject things that are unfavorable. One has to have the conviction that Krishna will give protection. And then one will accept the Lord as one's guardian or master. Then there'll be, so Krishna will give full protection. Krishna is my guardian, Krishna is my master. And then full self-surrender, meaning that we have no other desire other than serving Krishna. Our life, heart, mind, and soul is dedicated to serving Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants to do, make me a success or a failure, I will surrender to him. And the final one is humility. Surrender means being humble, being surrendered to the will of Krishna. So these are the 6 different items of surrender.
Thank you so much. This helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice question. Yeah. Yes, and Vivek Prabhu shared it in the chat, so you can refer to this. Okay, Kokila.
Krishna, that is now Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Prabhuji, I hope you had a wonderful time in Vrindavan. And Prabhuji, I have a question here regarding like that you touched the topic of surrender. So how are we going to analyze that how much are we surrendered? Because it's not, because sometimes it so happens that we feel that are we really surrendered to Krishna? Like I try to doubt him sometimes. So how can we analyze that? How are we progressing? Are we more surrendered than we were yesterday? So how are we going to do that, Prabhuji? Thank you so much.
We can see how much we're surrendered to Krishna based upon how much our heart is getting free from. Prabhupada says the spiritual. Prabhupada says the love of Krishna is not visible from the outside, right? So if someone is crying and rolling on the ground, we don't know if they're acting or if they're truly doing it genuinely. That one cannot see externally. What one can see externally is one's detachment from the material world, right? Because that one cannot feign. If we're still attached to seeing movies and going to the bars and to, then obviously our material life we're still very attached to material life. So one's surrender to Krishna can be seen by their detachment and freedom from the material qualities. So freedom from the desire for sense gratification, freedom from lust, envy, jealousy, anger. These are the ways in which one can judge one's spiritual advancement. That is one's surrender to Krishna. Because like we said, we were reading, the second quality of surrender is giving up things that are unfavorable for devotional service. That is a quality or an item of surrender. So if we're unable to give up these qualities, then our surrender is very weak. It is strong when we can actually give up these things. So yes, so we can judge our advancement, our surrender to Krishna, by how much time we're utilizing in Krishna's service and how much time we're spending in material life, and how much are we attached to sense gratification. Because it's the attachment to sense gratification that keeps us bound in this world. Like Prabhupada gives the example of Hiranyakashipu. He describes how Hiranyakashipu was outwardly such a gentleman. So you say, well, these materialists, they're also such nice people. They're so, loving. They're so sweet. They're so generous. So Hiranyakashipu was also a very great gentleman. And he, when Prahlad came to him, he was kissing Prahlad's head. He was smelling his head. He was asking him, what did you learn in school? And when Prahlad described that what he learned in school was how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is, Krishna's Hari, the Supreme Person, then when he hears this, Hiranyakashipu realizes that this son of his is a obstacle in his sense enjoyment, in his sense gratification. So let's say even, he was on this praising his enemy or whatnot, but he was a small boy. So his father could have said, well, okay, he is, but let it go. He's a small boy. He's my son, so no problem. But no, as soon as he heard this and realized that Prahlad now is coming in the way of his sense gratification, then immediately he takes Prahlad and he throws him off of his lap and he throws him on the ground. Why? Because Prabhupada says, although just the moment before he was kissing him and smelling his head and making this show of affection, the moment he sees him as a obstacle in his sense gratification, then he becomes very angry with Prahlad and throws him away. So in the same way, the materialist, externally, they are, very nice, all these things, but as soon as they see that their sense enjoyment is being compromised, then we see the real colors. And a devotee of the Lord may not be so polished or generous on the outside, but because they're not attached to their sense gratification, even if there's some difficulty in their sense gratification, they will still be a surrendered soul to Krishna because of their lack of their attachment to sense gratification and their attachment to Krishna. So it's one can see one's level of surrender by how attached are we to serving Krishna, as opposed to how attached are we to serving our sense gratification. In the same way, we can see our level of surrender by seeing how much are we depending upon Krishna as our protector, how much are we free from fear. By these things we can understand.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I took your time. And,
No. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice question. Very nice. Yes. Okay, so it seems like we are done now. We'll stop here, and then we'll continue next week. I'll post the homework for chapter 7, but just know that it's for 2 weeks, not just for this week. And next week we will continue on with chapter 7. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was very nice to see you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.